A group of middle schoolers move through the Terran Accord War Memorial, with the slow, slack shuffle of kids forced to care about something ancient. A few were whispering. One yawned into his sleeve. However, none of them looked like they were excited to be there. Their teacher, Ms. Aaron, finally brought them to a stop in front of a recessed hollow pit, glowing soft blue. A plaque rang along the edge in silver-stamped print. Combat Archive Terminal. Live neural reconstruction. Reconstructed from the recovered neural implant of First Lieutenant Mason Ward. Dawn's Reach. The furthest human colony from Sol reached a peak population of 34,212 before its fall. The following is a historical reconstruction of the Battle of Dawn's Reach, 2986 SS. This combat log was recovered in 3793 SS during the liberation of the Meridian system, preserved from Ward's neural data core. Disclaimer: for clarity and accessibility, certain sections of the reconstruction have been edited for temporal consistency, sensory clarity, and educational pacing. Dialogue and key events remain historically accurate. Boom, boom, boom. I wake to thunder. Deep, concussive blasts that shake the walls of my apartment in Keston Ridge. Another explosion follows, bright enough to bleed through the blackout curtains. I throw them open and feel my stomach drop. Outside, the sky lights up in purple and blue fire. One of the arcology towers collapses in on itself. My heart stops. Holy shit, I whisper. That's dark matter ordnance. This is an attack. No accident. I run to my comms unit, still charging by the bedside. Before I can even open a line, it buzzes in my hand. Lieutenant Brax, priority channel. I answer. Sir, what's going on? His voice cuts through, sharp and ragged. It's the Accord. They're here for Get to the base. Black Hollow. It shouldn't have been hit yet. The entrance is through the ER tunnel at Kellam Memorial. Since when do we have a base under a hospital? We don't have time to... Move, now! An explosion sounds through the channel. Close. The line goes dead. I bolt back to the window. A violet fireball blooms in the distance, where Fort Aran used to be. I stare, breath frozen in my chest. Fuck. Fuck! I try Brax again, but the connection is dead. I look up. The explosions are getting closer, too fast now. The sky beyond the arcologies pulses with impact flares, each one lighting up the city in shades of blue and violet. I grab a jacket off the hook. I slam the door behind me without locking it. The hallway is chaos. Families are screaming. People are carrying bags, children, pets, anything they can grab. Mason! Someone shouts. I turn. It's Kira from the floor above, cradling her son with one arm and dragging a suitcase with the other. What the hell is happening? Is it the Accord? Someone else asks, eyes wide and bloodshot. Are we under attack? Is this real? Mason, where are the shelters? Do we go east or west? Get out of the building! I shout over them. Head for the shelters! Go now! More booms shake the floor. The lighting flickers. The stairwells are jammed. We won't all get out in time, so I run to the end of the hall and aim a kick at the window. First hit cracks it. Second blow shatters it outward. 3 floors up, I mutter to myself. Hard fall, but better than being buried alive. I start waving people toward it. Go! Jump! Feet first! Bend your knees and roll! They hesitate for a second. One by one, they start jumping out. I help an older man through, then 2 teens. Last is Kira with her son. I shove them toward the opening. Go! Then I followed. Half a second before I hit the ground, a massive explosion tears through the building. The shockwave hurls me sideways into the next apartment tower. I smash through the second-story window, glass and heat following me inside. My back slams into the wall, and I collapse onto a tile floor that cracks under the impact. I groan, roll onto my stomach, try to push myself up. Then, I hear an earth-shattering noise from above. I look out the broken window just in time to see a shimmer split the clouds. A searing broom of white fire lights the entire skyline. The Accord bomber, flying high in the atmosphere, was hit by something. Then, siren and engines. Down on the streets, heavy vehicles rumble in. It's the Dawnreach garrison. I manage to crawl toward the stairwell, coughing on smoke, but I make it out of the building. As I make my way toward the soldiers, they're already getting swarmed by civilians, guiding them to shelters, trying to keep order. I walk up to one of them, giving directions. "Sir, please head—" I interrupt. "First Lieutenant Mason Ward." The soldier immediately straightens and salutes. "Where's your sergeant?" He points toward a man near an APC, arguing into a comm headset. I give him a nod and jog over. "Sergeant." The man looks up, irritated. "Sir, please follow the First Lieutenant Mason Ward," I say again, cutting him off. His posture shifts. "What can I do for you, sir?" "I need to get to Keller Memorial." "Yes, sir." "Really? Get him to the hospital." A younger trooper peels off from the crowd and waves me over to a waiting ATV. We climb in and tear down the street. "I was off duty when this started," I say. "Tell me everything you know." "I don't know much, sir," Riley says. "One moment I'm playing poker with a few pals, the next explosions are ripping through the city. Shouldn't the defensive fleet have intercepted them? At least to buy us time?" "They should have," I say. "But last I heard they were across the system doing training exercises. The Accord must have slipped a few ships through unnoticed." "Fucking slimy bastards," Riley mutters. The vehicle jerks to a halt outside Keller Memorial. I jump out and turn back to him. "Don't worry, we'll kick their ass. Now get back to your commander." Riley throws me a sharp salute and speeds off. As I stepped into the hospital, it was absolute chaos. The lobby was packed. Injured civilians sprawled across benches, floors, and even carts meant for equipment. Blood on the walls, crying children, smoke in the vents. The lights flickered every few seconds, backup systems straining to hold. Nurses and medtechs ran in all directions, shouting codes, trying to stabilize people with whatever gear hadn't been scorched or shorted out. One nurse, smeared with ash and moving too fast to fully stop, caught sight of me. "Sir, please wait over there. We'll get you as soon as we can," she shouted, already turning to help a man missing part of his leg. A siren screamed outside as an ambulance skidded into the parking lot. 2 medics jumped out before the vehicle has fully stopped. I stepped in her path. "I'm not here for medical help. First Lieutenant Mason Ward, I was told to report here about—" She cut me off, still moving. "That way! Look for the biohazard seal, lower level. Now move, sir, I need to go." She was gone before I could say another word. I turned and pushed through the crowd toward the corridor she'd pointed at. The hall lights were red lit. Emergency only. At the far end, a reinforced door pulsed yellow with hazard tape, and a hollow stamp marking it Restricted, Level 3 Biozone. 2 soldiers stood guard outside. I approached, boots echoing on the tile. One of them raised a hand. "Sir, that's far enough. This area is restricted. Please return to the main triage." God damn it. Couldn't the Accord have hit us while I was on duty? I stepped forward. "First Lieutenant Mason Ward, move aside." They exchanged a look, then both snapped to attention and saluted. "Yes, sir." The door unsealed with a hiss. I rushed through. Finally out of the sight of civilians, I sprinted, deeper into the structure. The base was small, cramped, low ceiling, clearly a fallback bunker. Down one corridor I saw a soundproof conference room. Inside, an argument was in progress. People shouting over each other, officers, analysts, maybe a few civilians in defensive roles. I ripped the door open. Every head turned toward me. "Who are you?" one of them snapped. "First Lieutenant Mason Ward," I said, sharp and loud. "Now, who's in charge here?" They glanced at each other. Awkward silence. Then one finally said, voice flat, "That would be you, sir." "What do you mean I'm in charge? Where's High Command?" A tired-looking officer stepped forward. "They're all dead. We also assumed you'd perished, so we were trying to figure out what the hell to do next." I froze in place for a moment. My mouth went dry. "All of them? How?" "Accord stealth bombers," he said grimly. "Hit every major base in one coordinated strike. Total precision. We're lucky this bunker wasn't on their list." I shook my head. It was too fast, too surgical. "Where the hell is our fleet?" 20 minutes ago, an Accord battle group entered the system. They engaged our defense fleet shortly after. We managed to get a distress call out. Only a small detachment was able to respond. "How many bombers are still above the planet?" "None," someone else answered from a console. "The last one was shot down 3 minutes ago. We confirmed the kill." I rubbed my temples and took a breath. "I want a full rundown on the size of the Accord fleet and our chances of holding them in orbit. Get the Admiral on a secure line, if he's still breathing. And I want a ground status report. Every unit still standing. I want to know exactly what we've got left to work with." The room moved. Terminals lit up. Officers stopped arguing and started working. Finally. I left the room and found a bathroom. Finally scrubbed the blood and dust off my face. I stared into the mirror. What the hell am I doing? I'm not prepared to command the defense of a planet. The thought hit hard, louder than any explosion. The door opened. A young soldier stepped in, holding a folded set of combat fatigues. "I figured you want to get out of that and into something proper, sir," he said. I nodded, took the uniform from him. "Thanks." He gave me a quick salute and left. I changed, took one last deep breath. We didn't have time for self-doubt. When I stepped out, someone handed me a data slate. Lists of surviving military assets, shelter capacity, civilian estimates. I scanned the numbers, my mind already working through options, routes, worst-case plans. "How long until I can talk to the Admiral?" I asked. "He's coming on now, room 2. I nodded and headed in. The display was already active. An older man in a fleet uniform. Tired. Annoyed. "Son," he started, "I don't have time for this." "Shut the hell up," I snapped. "We don't have time for a pissing match. I need to know whether you can hold this system or if I need to get 30,000 souls off this planet." He paused. Then, finally, he said, "No, we won't be able to repel this invasion." "How long do I have?" 3 hours. "Understood. Fair sailing, Admiral." I entered the call and stepped back into the conference room. "Begin evacuation of the planet, effective immediately. All civilians are to be routed to launch zones and prepare for off-world transport. Priority goes to families, medical cases, and minors. Cargo lanes are to be cleared for refugee traffic." I glanced at the data slate, then continued. "All men between the ages of 18 and 45 are hereby conscripted under Emergency Authority Code 15 Colonial Defense Mobilization Act. They are now members of the Dawn's Reach Garrison Forces, assigned under Planetary Defense Directive Sigma 7. I looked around the room. "By the power vested in me as Acting Planetary Defense Marshal, and under authority of the Sole Colonial Oversight Command, this colony is now in total martial law." A flurry of activity blurred across the screen as the neural playback accelerated, skipping past moments of downtime, jumping to the next major recorded event. "Sir," someone said, "the defense fleet has sent out their final transmission. They can no longer hold the enemy back. Several landing craft have broken through." "How long until they touch down?" I asked, watching the feed showing evac shuttles launching from surface pads. 22 minutes, sir." "How many are still on the planet?" 15%, sir." I nodded once. "From here on out, it's only the children." "Understood, sir." I walked over to the remaining commanders clustered around the tactical display. "How's the defense set up?" "Nearly finished, sir. But are you sure this is the right play? We won't have enough assets to repel the landings." A seamless transition in the neural feed marked the passage of 10 minutes. "Let's go! Let's go!" a voice shouted, as the last remnants of the bunker staff were loaded onto transport trucks. I stayed behind, the last to leave. It was my responsibility to make sure the place was clear before initiating final shutdown. The command center was dark, abandoned, stripped bare in minutes. I gave it one final look, then pressed my thumb to the embedded slate by the exit console. Activate protocol eviction. Confirmation code required. Alpha Charlie Hotel Echo Golf. Protocol eviction activated. T-minus 160 seconds. I turned and walked out, where my 2 assigned guards waited by the truck. They'd refused to leave me behind, despite my protests. As I climbed into the back, I looked up toward the sky. Thunder cracked across the horizon from the anti-aircraft grid coming online. Several firebursts arced upward from the distant hills, brilliant trails of light painting the clouds. In the distance, one of the Volari dropships took a direct hit to its central engine. The vessel spun sideways mid-descent, slammed into the ridgeline, and erupted into a double bloom of white and blue fire. A second was clipped by a barrage, spiraling like a broken wing before detonating in mid-air, scattering wreckage across the treetops. I thought we had 12 more minutes, I said, watching the burning debris fall. Estimates were off, one of the guards said, climbing in next to me, but it won't affect the plan too much. Then his tone shifted. Sir, this may be the last time we can reach every unit. You should say something. I looked at him. But I'm not even the commander they knew. I wasn't appointed. I wasn't elected. I was just off duty when the bombing started. I doubt anything I say matters. He shook his head. Sir, they'll be fighting for what might be years, living in the woods, away from their families. It's your plan. If they're going to die for it, they should at least hear your voice. I sighed. All right. Fine. He handed me the slate. I looked at it for a second. Then he tapped to control. You're live on all channels. I hesitated. Another massive boom rocked the horizon as another Volari lander exploded in midair. Then I spoke. My name is Mason Ward. Just a few hours ago, like many of you, I had a very different job. I was a first lieutenant, not a commander, not a strategist, not the man in charge of saving a planet, but here I am. And here you are. In the last few hours, I've made decisions no one should have to make, and many of you listening right now, hell, most of you didn't ask to be soldiers. You were pulled from your homes, from your families, forced to take up arms. For that, I am deeply sorry. But know this. While we may lose our cities today, our people, our children, live. Our loved ones have made it off-world. That is something the Accord will never take from us. Today, we lose. But tomorrow, the real war begins. We've lived in the wilds before. Humanity has survived ice ages, invasions, collapse. We've hunted in forests, fought in caves, and burned empires down from the dirt. The Accord thinks they can take a planet from us like it's a trade deal. They think they're superior. They come with their mandates and their arrogance. We all heard what they wanted from us. Surrender, compliance, slavery. And now they come knocking, expecting us to kneel. But we don't break. We don't kneel. They've won a battle, but they just bought themselves a war. We will own the forests, the mountains, the caves. We will turn the darkness into our ally. We will make them fear the night. And we will kill. 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 Until they run. Dawn's Reach is not finished. We are just getting started. Mason, out. With that said, I let out a sigh. Commanding was a lot harder than... End of neural data transmission. Playback terminated, following the destruction of Black Hollow. First Lieutenant Mason Ward and his resistance forces would go on to hold Dawn's Reach for 6 years, operating as an organized guerrilla cell numbering fewer than 12,000 fighters. Their campaign inflicted an estimated 4.6 million casualties across Accord occupation forces, including the confirmed destruction of 22 Volari landers, 9 armored divisions, and 1 orbital strike cruiser. The Accord officially abandoned the planet in 2992 SS. 1 month later, in response to continued resistance activity, the Accord initiated Operation Ember Crown, a full orbital bombardment campaign that resulted in the complete glassing of Dawn's Reach. The planet remains uninhabitable to this day. Historians continue to debate whether Mason Ward's actions were ultimately detrimental or decisive. While his resistance ensured the Accord would never again attempt planetary occupation of a human colony, it also triggered the policy of planetary glassing following any failed Accord peace offer. This policy was officially codified following the Battle of Varnock's End, where a surrender negotiation was hijacked and a viral payload was installed into an Accord command ship, causing catastrophic AI cascade failures across Fleet Group Sigma. "Alright class, let's get moving," the teacher said, already turning toward the next exhibit. The students followed, shuffling, whispering, still bored. They had seen that 1,000 times. It was used even more in movies. Behind them, the Combat Archive terminal dimmed. The image of a forest-covered planet faded into static. The name Dawn's Reach blinked once, then vanished.